I'm Corbett Wall with DVAuction, here with your feeder flash for Friday, January the 20th, brought to you in part by Norfenacol by Norbrook. It's generic new floor, but it's not as thick. It comes in plastic bottles and has a shorter sub-Q withdrawal period. And don't forget, it's fast, reaching therapeutic blood levels in the lungs within 30 minutes of being administered. For more information, go to norbrook.com. Is mandatory animal ID on its way? They told us 25 years ago, of course they've been wanting it for longer than that, but they told us 25 years ago that everybody was going to have to get their location ID and they were going to make this mandatory, and it was going to happen, and it was going to get pushed through by USDA, and they had several states that were doing kind of a pilot test of how it was going to work and all this thing, and they never could really get the electronic ID tags to work perfect. They have improved those, but nobody wanted it, or some people wanted it. The ones that wanted it are the ones that weren't going to be having to do it. So here of late we've seen an NCBA, that's National Corporate Beef Association's directive that they will support animal ID. They did stop short of saying mandatory, but they said that they were going to help educate and fix the system and find the right kind of EID tags and do what they could to help move this forward. So NCBA is ran by KLA and Texas Cattle Feeders Association. That is big money cattle, that is big packing plants, that is corporate cattle feeding that partners with the packing plants and sells everything formula. Okay, they want that because of why? Because if some kind of bad disease like hoof and mouth or something come along, it would be devastating. So they want that, but all the onus is going to be on your producers to get those ID tags in, and I'm just going to say I'm totally against any type of mandatory animal ID because it doesn't pass my smell test, which my smell test is it going to cause more independent cattle producers or less? Well, absolutely less. And our average age of our cattle producer is pretty old anyway. He doesn't have the best facilities. He can't afford any help. He's running on tight margins there. He's got a bunch of little lease places around. And how are they going to do that? They're going to have to pay somebody to do it at the sale barn, and then everything gets thrown on the sale barn, just like collecting the buck a head checkoff. Yeah, the sale barns have more to do, like trying to sell cattle, market cattle, get buyers, get sellers in there, put them together, than having to handle everything. Now, yeah, they'll get paid, but it'll hold up commerce, cause more shrink, and everything else to get all those cattle ID tagged. But we've got a NCBA convention coming up here 1st of February, and I'm not sure that you won't hear more about this as we get closer to it. And then a buddy of mine brought something to my attention as we were visiting about this. He said, yeah, I'll tell you something else that's going to happen if we start discussing this a little bit more. He said there's going to be a COVID-like scare for cattle come out, and then NCBA will say, well, we were right here, we were on the forefront, we were trying to get this stopped, we were trying to get this animal ID system put in, and we could have tracked it right down. Well, if everybody doesn't do it, it's not going to work, and everybody's not going to do it unless they make it mandatory. So likely there's going to be a push to get mandatory animal ID in there. It's going to run more producers out of the industry. I don't like it. A lot of people don't like it, but it's likely going to get shoved down our throat if you don't watch it. Now, I've been telling you guys this here for the last several years, but Just watch it, guys. But I want to tell you about a sale that happened on Thursday. It was Elite Livestock Sales out of Alabama there. The guys that used to be at the Montgomery Stockyards in Alabama. They sold about 20 loads online on DVAuction there. Had a good sale, including the Hickson Farm heifers. They were home-raised heifers, all black and black baldy. 100% home-raised, like I said. Come from Banks, Alabama. They had a load of them, weighed 700 pounds, over 100 days weaned, and they bring $231.75 to deliver here late this month. It's a pretty good price there, guys, especially where they sat in the United States. But Elite Livestock Sales is doing a good job marketing cattle online there. They have regular sales periodically through the year, with some of them being big whenever those cattle are moving off ryegrass and things. But check them out if you want to market cattle in that part of the country. The board rally continued on Thursday. We saw it continue to go higher. It's been higher so many days in a row. Now we're starting to get scared. The cattle on feed report is coming out again here today on Friday. Don't forget, on feed inventories January the 1st, setting at 102.2 on the average of the analyst guess. Mark placements 95.5% of a year ago. Marketing's 99.3, and as slow as the change speed's been, I just don't see how the marketings can be that high, which is likely going to make it bearish. But we'll just see what happens whenever it comes out here at 2 o'clock Central on Friday. We haven't done the market of the month for quite a while, but we thought about bringing that back. We've got a new sponsor for that. YTEX is going to sponsor the market of the month, which is one of our sale barns, or any sale barn. Doesn't have to do any business with us at all, but just a sale barn that we notice is doing a really good job helping market their customers' cattle. And if it's been a good month for them and they've showed up in our top quotes and things like that, then we're going to recognize them, because we're all about the sale barns here, price discovery, and that's what we want to see. We want to keep the sale barns viable. We want to advertise them and make a big thing out of them, because they are a big thing. Where would we be on price on calves and yearlings if we didn't have sale barns? We'd be like we are on fat cattle when we don't have any price discovery. But your YTEX market of the month for January is Orland, California Livestock Commission Yard. And it's way out west, guys, and that's on the western side of California there. And this is where all the trade's been during this cold snap, when all the other sale barns in the middle of the part of the country and even back east are running really tight. Out west here, they had a lot of moisture in California, big demand for calves, and cattle are moving. And Orland, California, doing a great job marketing their cattle. I mean, selling them higher than they do right next to a wheat field in Kansas, selling them higher than they do right next to a feedlot in Nebraska. So congratulations to Orland Livestock Commission Yard in Orland, California. Let's talk about your board on Thursday, February. Live cattle futures up 172 at 174.82. April up 202 at 177.65. Your back month up $1 to $1.72 higher. January feeder cattle up 250 at 230.92. March up 277 at 232.55. Back months all up big on feeder cattle, up 165 to 255. And grains were higher, so it did it right in the face of higher grains. Not much on corn, but March corn was up 1 3/4 cent at 4.44 bushel. March beans up 7 3/4 cent at 12.13 1/2. Kansas City hard red winter wheat for March up 11 1/4 cent at 6.05 1/4. Talk about fat cattle trade. We still haven't seen anything on a direct basis, and here we are on Friday. They haven't bought anything really for nearly a month to speak of in a negotiated manner out of your 5-area feeding region. Are we there? Have they stopped buying cattle in a negotiated manner in your feedlot areas? Are we with the hogs? Do we not know what one's worth? Luckily, we still have some sale barns that sell fat cattle, and we can tell you what one's worth, and they can't get it in the country, guys. But the only sales we saw, direct basis, negotiated, was Iowa, sold 400 head at 172, and you can drop them off at any of the fat cattle auctions in the Midwest and the Northern Plains and get more for that. But they did have an auction, online auction on Fed Cattle Exchange on Thursday. They did sell cattle on there. It was a package of, or a lot of beef on dairy cattle, or actually they had more than one. One in Texas, one in Iowa. They both bring 174 bid the grid, so that's a 174 base price on the grid for those packers there, and that's a pretty good price. And so that stirred things a little bit. Now there was other cattle offered on there. They had reserves on them at 174 and 175. They didn't reach that, but they started bidding at 171 or 172 and did have some bidding going on. But that Fed Cattle Exchange stirs interest. It stirs a little bit of price discovery there, but you got to participate in it, or you don't get it. Kind of like if you don't take any cattle to the sale barn, then how are we going to know what the cattle are worth? Luckily, we still have people taking cattle to the sale barn, all classes of cattle, because there's good demand for them. In competitive bidding, you find out what they're worth. Boom, price discovery right there. We don't have to sit there and guess, what the market is. And I think Fed Cattle Exchange is a good way to have some competitive trade on fat cattle, out in the country there. But did have some fat cattle auctions on Thursday. Kelowna, Iowa, Kelowna Livestock. They mostly sell their fats in small groups. Don't have the biggest scale there, but 10 head or less. But they had several bring up in the high 180s with a top of 190 for fat cattle. And here we are screwing around down here at 172 on pretty good cattle in Iowa. A direct basis. That's ridiculous. Wednesday, I did get quotes out of Lanesboro, Minnesota at Lanesboro Sales Commission. They had several fat cattle there. They sold those from 180.150 to 187.50. So, the market's good where you have competitive trade. Where you don't have any competition, it suffers. And that's another thing that frustrates me about this industry. But let's talk about your box beef cutout values. They finally reached a stopping point, and it's that $3 on choice cuts. We can't seem to get over that when it gets right up to it, and then it backs off. But choice cuts were down $2.16 on Thursday afternoon at $296.29. Selects up 74 cents at $283.76. Your slaughter, 462,000 through the first 4 days of the week. That's up 38,000 from the blizzard week, the previous week, but down 32,000 from the same week a year ago. Actual slaughter information come in 2 weeks behind. Had your average dressed steer carcass weight at 937 pounds. That's 4 pounds lighter than the previous report, and we should start seeing those weights just dump. If there's any truth in that report at all, those weights should dump. 20 pounds or more here within just the next couple of weeks, but we'll see what happens on that. We'll talk about what else is going on. Livestock Risk Services. We talk about them all the time. That's Dakota Moss there in Oklahoma City, officing in the Exchange building right there with National Livestock now. Him and his agents, they are your LRP specialists. You've got to learn about these LRPs. If you've just hearing about them and you don't understand them and you haven't used them, this thing's getting too volatile and it's too top heavy and getting that way again not to be taking LRPs out. And so call him, either Dakota or one of his agents there at Livestock Risk Services, or go online at livestockriskservices.com. Pick one that's close to you that you want to visit with. Ask them about the LRPs, and they can tell you that, and it doesn't cost anything to ask a question, guys. Talk about your feeder cattle markets, your real-time index on DVAuction. late in the day on Thursday, sitting at 231.51, up 82 cents on your 7-day moving average there of cash auction 800-pound steers right there. Your latest CME that came out on the cash feeder cattle index was 227.29. Got some big sales coming up here on Friday. I'm coming to you from Nevada Livestock Marketing, or I'm not at the sale barn, I'm in Fallon, Nevada, but I was up in the Great Northwest earlier in the week and gave a talk to a good group of people there at Toppenish Livestock Commission in Washington State. Flew in and out of Seattle, had to go over that mountain pass. Wasn't too much fun on Thursday there. I don't know, Seattle's not my kind of place, and I've said it before, I'd hate to be an Avon salesman in Seattle, Washington. I'd starve to death. But made it down here to Fallon, Nevada. Going to be helping sell the cattle for the next 2 days. Got a 2-day sale, Nevada Livestock Marketing, about 7,500 to 8,000 head of feeder cattle for their feeder special this month. And they'll be online at DVAuction.com. We're starting a little earlier on Friday here at 9 o'clock out here out west. So that'll be 11 o'clock Central. Get on DVAuction.com. Check out the sale. Get approved. You can buy some. Callaway Livestock Center. And you say, wait a minute, their sales are on Monday. Well, they canceled their Monday sale, but they had cattle consigned. They moved them to Friday, so they're going to have a pretty significant sale at Kingdom City, Missouri, at Callaway Livestock Center here today on Friday, and you can view and bid that on DVAuction.com. Also talked to guys down at Sulphur Springs, Texas. They're having one of their big weaned commingled sales down at Sulphur Springs. Joe Don Pogue is having it. They're going to have over 5,000 head, and that is on Friday today. So check out that sale, guys. But talk about the sales that we had on Thursday and the ones that we normally get our best trends from, which are Winter Livestock and Pratt and Farmers and Ranchers Livestock and Salina. Both of them had fairly light receipts. Not so much because of the weather on Thursday, but because of the weather where the cattle were going all week, and everybody wanted to give them a chance to kind of get take a breath before they send them some more cattle. So they'll be having big sales next week. A lot of places are going to have big sales next week. Not sure if our cash feeder market can withstand it or not, but we're going to have some big sales. And of course, it's all going to depend on the cattle on feed report here on Friday too. But they had about 1,200 at Pratt, which is nothing for them. 1,700 in Salina. They did quote the 650 to 850 pound steers in Salina sharply higher. Your farmers or your top quote out of Salina that I saw was 60 head of steers weighed 816 pounds at 230.75. That's a good quote on big feeder steers. Your National Beefwire stickout sale of the day on Thursday was Ogalala Livestock Auction, Ogalala, Nebraska, 4,900 head. They called the market $5 to $20 higher. They had a lot of several packages of NHTC cattle, and they were, the official there, non-hormone treated cattle. They sold at a premium, but they're included in these quotes I'm giving you through Cattle Market Central. Your automated market report. How about 390 head of full-weight steers, average 473 at 344.49. 969 head of 5 weights at 557 and 319.27 on the weighted average price. 811 head of 6 weights, average 644 at 284.43 on the heifers. 426 head of 4-weight heifers, average 453 at 303.52. 1,180 head of 5-weight heifer calves, average 554 at 283.13. And 562 head of 6-weight heifers, average 640 at 256.58. Some other individual quotes. How about Fairview, Illinois sale barn there? Brian Curlis there, my friend, that auctioneers that sale. He sent me some quotes out of there, including the Rex McClure steers He sold 2 loads of feeder steers in there. They averaged 805 pounds per load with an average price on the loads of $239.50. Big quote there. How about the most impressive quote that I saw anywhere on Thursday in your Macrocin No BS top quote of the day? Indeed, come out of our market of the month, Orland Livestock Commission Yard, Orland, California. They sell 50 steers way out west, weigh 932 at $225.50. And that's your feeder flash for Friday.